Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Anthony. On this service episode, we're going to be doing the transmission fluid service on my 2016 GT350. This procedure is going to be the same for both the GT350 and the GT350R. The only difference is if you have a 2015 or 2016 non-track pack car, you will not have an oil cooler for the transmission. All GT350Rs came standard with the oil cooler, as well as the 2017 and up GT350s. The 2016 GT350 with the track pack will also have the oil cooler. There's one additional step that you have to do. Before we get started, if you would please drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get started. So these are the items that you'll need to perform this service. You're going to need a hand pump or some sort of pumping device or a drivetrain fluid machine, a 3/8 drive ratchet with a little stubby 3/8 drive extension on it. A flashlight is helpful, and then 4 quarts of automatic transmission fluid or any sort of transmission fluid that meets the spec laid out by Tremec. The spec that's also laid out by Ford as well. So we're going with the Amsoil Signature Series, low viscosity, blue bottle ATF today. You'll need right about 3 quarts of fluid. I always recommend having a 1/4 on hand just in case you spill some, or there's a little bit of an air pocket somewhere, or more of the transmission cooler drains out than normal. Anything can happen, so I would recommend having 4 quarts of fluid on hand before attempting this service. And then lastly, you're gonna need a drain bucket or a drain pan of some sort, and then some brake clean or cleaning solvent would help as well. Alright, so the first thing we want to do is release the fill plug. You always want to release the fill plug first in the event that the fill plug doesn't want to remove. It's stripped, seized, or what have you. That's not going to be the case with this vehicle, as it's not an older vehicle, it's not subject to a lot of rust, etc. However, it's always a good practice. So the fill plug for these transmissions is located on the driver's side of the transmission, up here towards the rear. So you're going to take your 3/8 drive ratchet and insert it and break it loose. You can kind of tuck your other arm back behind the transmission mount and support. Once you get it loose to where you can remove by hand, you're going to go ahead and move your oil bucket under, just in case some fluid comes out. And then go ahead and release the fill plug. There we go. You'll notice this fluid is red in color. These vehicles actually take ATF for the transmissions. That's specified by Tremec. So now that we verify that the fill plug comes out, we can go ahead and drain the transmission. Another reason for removing the fill plug first is it allows for a better drain on the transmission. It allows the air to replace the fluid that's leaving the transmission. The drain plug is right here in front of the transmission mount. So same thing, insert the 3/8 drive ratchet. Break it free, and then remove by hand. And then you're just going to let that drain for 5 to 10 minutes. The transmission fluid that we are going with in today's video is the Amsoil Signature Series Blue Bottle ATF. This is their low viscosity brand of ATF. It meets all the specs recommended by Tremec. Has outstanding heat resistance and resistance to thermal breakdown, oxidation. And as you can see here, it is good for doubling your manufacturer's severe service drain interval. Severe service drain interval means, modified tracking use, high temperatures, idle time, and this vehicle does see a lot of track time, so this is the best thing you can put in your vehicle. Once the fluid comes to a slow drip like this, we can go ahead and reinstall our drain plug. Just make sure you install it by hand first. Once you get it as tight as you can by hand, then go ahead and take your ratchet. And you just need to snug it. You're not going to bottom it out to where all the threads are gone. Just simply snug is fine. So now that we've got it plugged, we can go ahead and add the fluid. Alright, so to add the fluid, you're going to position your quarts on your drain bucket or on the ground below you and install your pump, and then feed it into the fill hole, and then you can simply just pump away. And that will start flowing fluid into the transmission. Simply once you run low on one quart, you just go to the next. Now we're on our fourth quart. Once you get into that fourth quart, that's when the fluid is going to start to run out. So then grab your fill plug. Remove the tubing from the fill hole. And then just let the fluid naturally run out of the fill hole. And once it slows down, then you can go ahead and plug it. So we're just going to let this run for a little bit until it slows down. Alright, so once it's about at that level, we can go ahead and plug it. Again, same process as the drain plug. Start it by hand and get it as tight as you can. And grab your ratchet.
tighten it down. Once you start feeling some resistance, just give it another like quarter to a half turn, and that's it. Then grab some brake clean or some sort of solvent and spray down the area. Once you get most of it sprayed off, you can just go ahead and wipe all the residue off. We're not done yet. So with these transmissions, if you have the oil cooler, this next procedure only applies to vehicles that have the oil cooler. We have to get inside the vehicle, start it, put it in gear, and idle it for about 2 minutes. This is going to allow transmission fluid to refill and reprime the oil cooler circuit. Not all the fluid came out of the circuit, but there is going to be some that comes out of it just by draining the transmission. So next we're going to put the car down and start it up and do that procedure. So we're inside the vehicle now, so we're going to go ahead and start it. Let the vehicle idle for a second to let it, idle down. Let go of the e-brake and then put it in gear and just let it idle. Just let it naturally idle in gear. So the rear wheels should be turning like so. I'm just gonna let that do that for about a minute or two. All right, we've let it idle for a couple minutes to allow the temperature circuit to open up and allow fluid to refill and bleed out the transcooler circuit. So now we can go ahead and take it out of gear, pull the e-brake up, and shut her down. Now we're going to go back below the vehicle and pull the fill plug and check the fluid level. Alright, so we're back under the car now. We're going to go ahead and check the fill plug. Fluid may come out, it may not. So again, have your drain pan positioned correctly. And we have, okay, that's barely anything, so we're gonna go ahead and replug it. If you would have had no fluid come out, of course you're gonna wanna add more fluid until it starts to come out. And if you had a lot of fluid come out, you're gonna wanna let it drain for a little bit until it looked just about like that. We can go ahead and retighten our drain plug, or our fill plug. Do a final spray down of the area. Give it a little wipe down. Observe for further residue that gets trapped up in these little cavities and whatnot. That's gonna continue to happen. Yeah, once you get all that cleaned up, then you're done. So this concludes our transmission service on a 2016 GT350. Again, this procedure is going to be the exact same for all GT350 and GT350Rs, other than the procedure at the end of the video where we had to idle the vehicle to refill the transmission oil cooler circuit. Hope you found this video helpful. If you're new to the channel, thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more content, more GT350 content, more vehicle service videos, and track day footage. Please comment below for something you'd like to see in the future. I'll leave the link for Amsoil products in the description below as well. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.